Hello, and welcome to the BEADS Portal 2.0 training on cost screens. In this course, you will learn how to access and view the cost screens and what information is provided by the cost screens. Cost screens were previously available in Insight and allowed users to see paid claims. However, the information they provided was usually several months old when received. This feature was not included in the BEADS Portal 2.0 release, so needed improvements could be made to enhance the cost screen feature. Let's begin by taking a look at how to access and view the cost screens. To access the cost screens, navigate to the PCISP page for an individual and select a PCISP. Then click Costs in the left navigation menu. The Cost Summary tab of the cost screens will display. In the next few slides, we'll review the different tabs that make up the cost screens. First, let's take a look at the Cost Summary. The Cost Summary tab provides a summarized view of the cost information for the individual for the currently selected PCISP year. As we can see in the screenshot, the authorized active PCISP was selected, so all of the information that appears in the cost summary is for that PCISP year. There are three sections of the cost summary tab: the summary, waiver costs, and facility costs. First, we'll cover the summary section. In the summary section, you will see three fields: the allocation/cap for PCISP year, funds remaining, and serviced cost not within allocation/cap. The allocation/cap for PCISP year shows the allocation for MFP-CIH or CIH or the cap for FSW. The funds remaining shows the individual's allocation or cap minus the total cost of services on the PCISP that count against the allocation or cap. The service cost not within allocation/cap shows the service costs on the PCISP that do not count against the individual's allocation or cap. Please note, if an allocation for an MFP-CIH or CIH waiver is not available, some of the information on the summary screen will be missing. And if an individual has no paid claims data, estimated values are used on the cost summary screen. Now, let's take a look at the waiver cost section of the cost summary. The waiver cost section provides a summary of the individual's waiver costs and includes the following fields: HCBS costs, other medical costs, spend down, total waiver, and over FAC or facility cost total. Within each of these fields, we can see two calculations, one for total and the other for per day. The HCBS cost total is calculated by taking the allocation for MFPCIH or the cap for FSW minus any funds remaining. The HCBS cost per day is calculated by taking the HCBS cost total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The other medical cost total is equal to the sum of all the costs on the Other Medical and Services Costs tab. The other medical cost per day is calculated by taking the other medical cost total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The spend down total is an amount received from core MMIS multiplied by the number of months in the PCISP year. The spend down per day is calculated by taking the spend down total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The total waiver total is calculated by adding together the HCBS cost total and other medical cost total and then subtracting the spend down total. The total waiver per day is calculated by taking the total waiver total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The over FAC or facility cost total is calculated by taking the total facility total from the facility cost section and subtracting the total waiver total. Now, let's take a look at the last section of the cost summary, the facility costs. The facility cost section provides a summary of the individual's facility costs. The following fields can be found in this section: per day, other facility costs, liability, total facility, and over FAC or facility cost per day. Similar to the waiver cost section, within each of these fields, we can see two calculations, one for total and the other for per day. The per day total is calculated by taking the per day amount and multiplying it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The per day is either $213 for CIH, $254 for MFP-CIH, or $31.50 for FSW. This individual is active on CIH, so the per day amount is $213. The other facility cost total is calculated by adding together all the facility services costs on the Other Medical and Services Cost tab. Please note, both facility and non-facility non-waiver services appear on the Other Medical and Services Cost tab. If there is an estimated amount on the Other Medical and Services Cost tab, the other facility cost total is calculated by multiplying the nursing facility costs, which are $531.42 for CIH and MFP-CIH, and $459.08 for FSW, by the number of months in the PCISP year. The other facility cost per day is calculated by taking the other facility cost total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The liability total is an amount received from core MMIS. The liability per day is calculated by taking the liability total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The total facility total is calculated by adding together the per day total and the other facility cost total and then subtracting the liability total. The total facility per day is calculated by taking the total facility total and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. The over FAC or facility cost per day is calculated by taking the over FAC cost total from the waiver cost section and dividing it by the number of days in the PCISP year. Now that we've had an overview of the cost summary tab, let's take a look at the other medical and services cost tab. The Other Medical and Services Cost tab is a summarized and averaged line item view of the weekly paid claims information received from core MMIS for non-waiver services for the individual. The information displayed in the grid defaults to the selected PCISP effective dates. Like service codes are combined into a one-line summary, and an average for these codes are calculated and displayed. The information that appears on this screen can be exported to Excel using the Export to Excel button. Please note, as mentioned in a previous slide, both facility and non-facility non-waiver services appear on this tab. If the individual has no paid claims, or if the most recent paid claims are greater than 15 months old, an estimated value is used. The estimated values are provided by beads. If there are no like service codes that can be combined to create a one-line summary, there will be one line item created for each unique service code. Let's take a look at what can be seen on this tab. The service code shows a summarized service code for combined like service codes, or a unique service code if there are no like service codes to be combined. The description provides a description of the service code. If the Details icon is clicked, the Other Medical and Services Cost Details modal will display, which we will review a little bit later. The rate shows the average rate for the combined like service codes or the rate for the unique service code. The number of units shows the average number of units for the combined like service codes or the number of units for a unique service code. The cost shows the average cost for the combined like service codes or the cost for a unique service code. The start date is the PCISP year start date. The end date is the PCISP year end date. The cost source will show C details for combined like service codes or the provider's name for a unique service code. Please note, if there is no match for the provider ID that is received from Core MMIS, the cost source field will be blank. Now let's take a look at what happens when we select Include All Dates. As you can see, Include All Dates is now checked, and as a result, there is an additional one-line summary for dental services displaying in the grid. Please notice the start and end dates for this summary. They are the same dates as the effective dates for the selected PCISP year. When all dates is checked, the system will display a summary of what the services would cost for the currently selected PCISP year. Clicking on the details icon for the service will show the details for all the historical paid service claims that have been used to create the summary. Let's click the details icon now. Clicking the details icon displays the Other Medical and Services Costs DENT Details modal. As you can see, the start and end dates for the paid claims that make up the summary are from January 31st, 2022 to March 8th, 2022, which are prior to the dates on the currently selected PCISP. The system is using all of these historical paid claims to provide a summary of what these costs could be for the selected PCISP year of October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. While we have this open, let's take a look at what else can be seen within this modal. The name of the modal reflects the service code it is providing details for. In this case, the modal is displaying the details for the DENT service code, so the name is Other Medical and Services Costs DENT Details. When the details are selected for another service code, the title of the modal will update to reflect the selected service code. As mentioned before, this modal shows all the details of the paid claims for like service codes that have been combined to make the one-line summary. If there were no like service codes combined, this modal would display the details of the paid claims for the unique service code. In this modal, we can see the following items: the procedure code, the revenue code, the service code, the description of the service, the rate for the service, the number of units paid, the cost, the start and end dates for the service, and the cost source, which is the name of the provider. Clicking the Close button will return us to the Other Medical and Services Cost tab. Deselecting Include All Dates will return the Other Medical and Services Cost tab to display information only for the effective dates of the selected PCISP year. Now that we've seen the information displayed on the Other Medical and Services Cost tab, let's move on to the next tab of the cost screens, HCBS PCISP Costs. The HCBS PCISP Cost tab is populated with service information from the selected PCISP. The information that appears on the screen can be exported to Excel using the Export to Excel button. The first two columns of this tab show the service code and the description of the service. Let's see what happens when we click the View Need icon in the View Need column. When the View Need icon is clicked, a modal is opened that displays the need entered when the service was added to the PCISP. The name of the modal will adjust based on the service code. In this case, the modal is displaying the need entered when BG10 was added to the PCISP. So the modal name is BG10 Behavior Management Level 1 Need. When the View Need icon is selected for another service, the title of the modal will update to reflect the need for the selected service. Click the Close button to close the modal and return to the HCBS PCISP Cost tab. The next few columns on the HCBS PCISP Cost tab show the rate for the service, the unit size for the service, and the total number of units that have been distributed on the PCISP. Now let's see what happens when we click the View Units icon in the View Units column. Clicking the View Units icon opens a modal that shows the monthly units distribution, units limit, and costs for the selected service. Similar to the Need modal, the name of the modal will adjust based on the service code. In this case, the modal is displaying the unit distribution for CMGT. So the modal name is CMGT Case Management Units Distribution. When the View Units icon is selected for another service, the title of the modal will update to reflect the units distribution for the selected service. Click the Close button to close the modal and return to the HCBS PCISP Cost tab. The final few columns that can be seen on the HCBS PCISP Cost tab are the total cost of the service, the start and end dates for the service, and the provider name. Let's see what happens when we click on the Provider Info icon in the last column of this tab. Clicking the Provider Info icon opens a modal that shows information for the selected service provider. Similar to the Need and Units Distribution modals, the name of the modal will adjust based on the service code. In this case, the modal is displaying the provider information for MUTH. So the modal name is MUTH Music Therapy Provider Information. When the Provider Info icon is selected for another service, the title of the modal will update to reflect the provider information for the selected service. In this modal, we can see the following information for the provider: the provider name, a legal name, the DBA name, the address including city, state, and zip code for the provider, and the name, email address, and phone number for the SANOA and waiver contacts. Please note, if multiple SANOA and waiver contacts exist, all active contacts will be displayed in the modal, and if the contact has more than one email address, the first email address will display. Click the Close button to close the modal and return to the HCBS PCISP Costs tab. Now that we've reviewed the HCBS PCISP Costs tab, let's take a look at the Paid Claims tab of the cost screens. The Paid Claims tab defaults to display the details for waiver paid claims only for the selected PCISP year. The information that appears on the screen can be exported to Excel using the Export to Excel button. Please note, if an individual is new and has no paid claims, the Paid Claims tab will not display any data. On the Paid Claims tab, we can see the description of the service on the paid claim, the amount paid on the claim, the start and end dates on the paid claim, the date the claim was paid, the number of units that were paid, the procedure code, and we can see modifiers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see what happens if we select Include Non-Waiver, View Non-Waiver Only, or Include All Dates. Selecting Include Non-Waiver will display the details for non-waiver paid claims in addition to waiver paid claims for the selected PCISP year. Deselecting Include Non-Waiver will return the Paid Claims tab back to displaying only waiver paid claims for the selected PCISP year. Selecting View Non-Waiver Only will display the details for only non-waiver paid claims for the selected PCISP year. Deselecting View Non-Waiver Only will return the Paid Claims tab back to displaying only waiver paid claims for the selected PCISP year. Selecting Include All Dates will display all available paid claims regardless of the PCISP year based on the other selections, Waiver Only, waiver and non-waiver, or non-waiver only. In this screenshot, we can see paid claims for all dates regardless of the PCISP year for non-waiver claims only. Deselecting View Non-Waiver Only and Include All Dates will return the Paid Claims tab back to displaying only waiver paid claims for the selected PCISP year. This concludes the Cost Screens training. If you have any questions after reviewing this course, please speak with your supervisor. If questions remain, they may email the questions to beads.scphelp@fssa.in.gov. Thank you for participating in this BEADS Portal 2.0 training on cost screens. Click Next below this video to take the related assessment. A score of 80% or greater is required to demonstrate competence.